The rain fell in heavy sheets, obscuring my view as I drove down the desolate highway. The gas gauge needle flirted dangerously close to the empty mark, and my heart pounded with unease. A flickering sign emerged from the darkness, its letters glowing dimly. Last stop gas convenience. With no other choice, I pulled into the eerily quiet gas station. The rain seemed to intensify, casting an unsettling glow on the rusty pumps and cracked pavement. I shivered as I stepped out of the car, my footsteps echoing in the silence. A chill ran down my spine as I realized there were no other cars around. Just me and the desolation. I approached the gas station's entrance. The bell, jingling as I pushed the door open. The interior was dimly lit, and the fluorescent lights buzzed ominously overhead. Shelves, lined with dusty products, cast long shadows, and a lone cashier stood behind the counter, their face obscured by a deep hood. I walked over to the snacks aisle, the floor creaking beneath my feet. As I browsed the shelves, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Each time I glanced towards the cashier, they seemed to be staring right through me, their gaze cold and unrelenting. I selected a bag of chips, my fingers trembling, and made my way to the counter. "Will that be all?" The cashier's voice was a low, raspy whisper that sent shivers down my spine. I nodded, avoiding their gaze. Their long, bony fingers reached out to take the bag, and I caught a glimpse of their unnaturally pale skin. "That'll be $6. 66 cents, they said, their lips curling into an unsettling smile. I handed over the money, eager to leave this place as quickly as possible. As the cashier handed me my change, their fingers brushed mine, sending a shock of cold through me. I stepped outside, the rain now a relentless torrent. The gas pump clicked as I tried to start fueling my car, but no gas flowed. Frustration turned to panic as I realized I was trapped in this forsaken place. I turned to head back inside, but the gas station had changed. The flickering sign now read "No Escape," and the building seemed to stretch and contort in impossible ways. Heart pounding, I rushed back inside, only to find the interior transformed into a labyrinth of endless aisles. Panic clawed at my throat as I realized there was no way out. The hooded cashier stood at the end of an aisle, their gaze fixated on me. Every direction I turned, I was met with an unending expanse of shelves, each filled with ominous products I couldn't quite make out. I stumbled through the aisles, my mind unraveling with each dead end I encountered. Whispers filled the air, echoing incoherently around me. Shadows danced at the corner of my vision, and every step I took seemed to take me deeper into this nightmarish maze. Time lost all meaning as I wandered, my fear growing into a paralyzing terror. I was no longer alone. The shelves seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy, and eerie figures lurked just out of sight. The hooded cashier's laugh echoed through the aisles, a haunting symphony of madness. And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the rain stopped. The buzzing lights flickered and steadied, revealing a doorway ahead. With a surge of desperate hope, I rushed towards it, my body crashing through the exit and into the cold night air. I stumbled onto the pavement, gasping for breath. The gas station was gone, replaced by an empty lot surrounded by trees. I staggered to my feet, my mind a whirlwind of confusion and horror. Had it all been a hallucination? A nightmare? As I walked back to my car, I couldn't shake the feeling that something lingered, just beyond my vision. I glanced over my shoulder, but there was nothing there. The engine roared to life, and I peeled out of the lot, leaving behind the memory of that accursed gas station. To this day, the image of that hooded cashier and the twisted aisles haunts my dreams. I'll never know if it was a mere hallucination or a glimpse into a malevolent realm. But one thing remains certain. I will never forget the gas station that trapped me in a nightmare of my own making. The night was cloaked in an eerie stillness as I pulled into the desolate gas station. The fluorescent lights buzzed above, casting an unnatural pallor over the cracked pavement. An unsettling feeling settled in the pit of my stomach. But with my fuel gauge dangerously low, I had no choice but to stop. I stepped out of my car, the cold wind sending a shiver down my spine. The air seemed to carry whispers, voices that faded in and out like ghostly echoes. I glanced around, feeling eyes upon me from the shadows, but the station appeared abandoned, save for a lone figure behind the counter. The attendant, an old man with gnarled hands and a tattered uniform, stared at me with vacant eyes as I approached. "Evening," he croaked, his voice a raspy whisper that barely reached my ears. "Hi," I replied, my voice faltering. "Just need to fill up, please." He nodded, wordlessly, gesturing toward the ancient pumps outside. As I pumped gas into my car, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was horribly wrong. The wind carried distant cries that seemed to beckon me, and I glanced back at the station's windows, half expecting to see twisted faces peering out. My tank finally full, I hurried back inside, eager to escape the unsettling atmosphere. The old man's eyes followed me, unblinking, as I approached the counter. I fumbled for my wallet, handing him a bill. "Where am I exactly?" I asked, trying to sound casual. He leaned in, his breath carrying a musty stench. "A crossroads traveler," I blinked, unsure of what he meant. "Is there a town nearby?" He chuckled, a sound that sent chills down my spine. "Not for miles, not for years." Unease gnawed at me, but I thanked him and headed back to my car. As I pulled away from the station, a soft whisper seemed to echo in my mind, words I couldn't quite make out. My heart raced as I accelerated, the gas station shrinking in the rearview mirror. Hours passed as I drove through the night, the memory of the gas station fading into a haze. But no matter how far I went, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had followed me. The road stretched on, endlessly, the surroundings becoming increasingly unfamiliar. Then, a glint of fluorescent light in the distance caught my attention. My heart sank as I realized I was approaching the same gas station once again. It was impossible. I had driven for hours in a straight line. With a sense of dread, I pulled in, hoping to find answers. The old man was still there, his gaze fixed on me as though he had never moved. I rushed to the counter, desperation in my voice. "What is this place? Why can't I leave?" He chuckled again, a maddening sound that grated on my nerves. "You've entered a realm between worlds, a realm where time and space twist and turn. You'll find no escape here, traveler." My mind raced, panic welling up within me. There has to be a way out. He leaned in, his voice a sinister hiss. "There is a way, but it comes at a price." Desperation overcame my fear. "I'll pay anything. Just tell me how to leave." He grinned, revealing yellowed, jagged teeth. "You must become one of us, tethered to this place. For eternity." My heart pounded, the realization of the choice before me sinking in. Escape or damnation. I stumbled back, my mind racing as I weighed my options. But then, a voice whispered in my ear, faint but clear. "The mirrors. Break the mirrors." I turned, scanning the dimly lit station until my eyes fell upon a row of dusty mirrors against one wall. Without hesitation, I grabbed a nearby wrench and began smashing the mirrors one by one. With each shatter, the world around me trembled, reality itself bending and warping. The old man's laughter turned to screams of rage as the mirrors splintered into shards. And then, with one final crash, everything went dark. When I awoke, I was on the side of the road, my car battered and broken. The gas station was nowhere in sight. Relief washed over me as I realized I had escaped that nightmarish realm. As I drove away, I glanced back at the empty road behind me, my heart still racing. The voice had guided me to freedom, but I couldn't shake the feeling that it still lingered, watching from the shadows, waiting for its next victim. Subscribe for more horror stories.